Great. So you'll see that I have a chair right here, and I'll show you how we're going to use it. I'll just quickly review just so you know ahead of time. So we're going to do a triangle pose today. Normally, if you had a block, you might use that, but even with a block, sometimes this is a hard one to get into. So a chair can be just your little ally here. You could use it in any way that works. The other pose that we'll do that might need a chair is intense forward fold. So that's with the straight legs coming forward. We've done this in class a few times. If you don't have two blocks, or if the blocks are hard to reach, the chair is really great for this. You can use your hands, or you can even rest your elbows on it. Or if some of you are open enough to come down a little lower, you could put your forehead on it. So just having that nearby, at some point you'll want to switch it to the other side of your mat. I've got my mat oriented the long way, facing you today, because we're going to be going through a moon salutation. And it's just a little easier to have the mat facing you guys. And if you're able to, if you have the space, you might orient your mat that way as well. But it's no big deal if you only have room to have your mat lengthwise, or longwise. At some point, you just might not be facing the screen, but hopefully my directions will be clear enough for you to do it without facing the screen for a moment or two. Okay. So we'll start seated. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to start with a little bit of warming up the body, and then we're going to do focus on our theme. So let's start with our straps. So grab your strap, or whatever you're using for a strap. And let's lie on our back and open up our legs, because we're going to want to have really open legs for our standing poses today. So on your back, using your strap, and if you don't have a strap, doing the best you can with whatever you have available to you, even if you just use your arms. And we'll bring the strap, or whatever you're using, around the right foot to start. And the left leg can be bent or straight. So just depending on how warmed up your body is right now. I know some of you have gone for a walk already this morning, so you might be a little more warm. And just flexing that right foot. And shifting your right hip bone away from your rib cage, and sliding your shoulders down your back. And just start to feel into that hamstring on the right side. Take some deep breaths. Start to arrive with your awareness into your body. And use the strap just to move the legs very slowly in some small circles. And then hold on to the strap with your right hand and keep your belly engaged. We're going to start to open the leg out to the right and keep the belly engaged on the left hip on the floor if possible. As soon as you start to feel a stretch, then exhale and bring the leg back up to center and just across your body a tiny bit so you feel a stretch in the outer hip. And then breathe in, and then as you exhale, or breathe in whatever way feels comfortable and supportive for you, you're going to open the leg, and then as you engage the belly, bring the leg back up and across the body just a tiny bit. So we're just warming up the inner thigh and the outer hip dynamically this morning. Keep your breath flowing. Good. Come back to center. And then hold both of your straps and turn your leg bone inward and outward. So the femur, the lower leg bones, the thigh bone, all of the bones of the leg are turning at the same time, inward and outward, while the heel points straight up to the ceiling or the sky. It's like you're drawing little upside down rainbows or horseshoes on the ceiling with your heel. Good. And then go ahead and take the strap off and just hug your knee in toward your rib cage on that side and do some ankle rotations. Good. Stretch that leg out and just take a moment to notice the difference from the right side to the left. You might notice that your gluteal muscles feel a little more flattened or connected to your mat. Maybe your leg feels longer on that side, or maybe it's a sensation of warmth or tingling. Just take note of that. And then when you're ready, change over to your left side. For those of you who maybe are new to the Zoom version of this class, if you come to other classes, most of the time we use a small massage ball. Anything would work, like a rubber ball or a, what do you call those, racket balls, or a tennis ball even. And a strap is almost always helpful. So if you don't have a traditional yoga strap, then you could tie, you could use a bathrobe tie, or you could tie two ties together, like ties that go with suits. So you're just flexing your left foot and feeling the hamstring and starting to move the leg in very small circles. And just noticing where you feel tightness in the leg or in the hip. And keep your breath flowing. And then take your straps, if you're using them in the right and the left hand now, and open the leg out to the side, keeping the right hip rooted down as much as possible, and then bring the leg back up, and then cross over the body just an inch or two till you feel an outer hip or leg stretch. And as you breathe in and out with soft control, you'll open the leg and then bring it up. I tend to exhale as I bring my leg back to center because it helps me to activate my core. But do what helps you, do what feels right for your body. As you're moving through this range of motion, keep your foot quite flexed so that your heel, your toes are pointed towards your face and your heel is reaching for the sky. Good. Come back to center, and then holding the straps with both hands, go ahead and internally and externally rotate the leg, the complex of all those bones and leg. So we're stirring deep into the hip socket, so we're really helping to bring fresh, stimulate synovial fluid, which protects our bones and our joints over time. Very good. All right, go ahead and release your strap if you're using one, and then hug your knee into your rib cage, right to the side. Do some ankle rotations. And then stretch your leg out so that both legs are straight and flat. And notice now the change on the left side. And take a nice deep breath here. Let it out. Here you are. You made it to yoga. I'm so grateful that you're here, that you made the time. This is your special time on your mat. Now we're going to bend the knees and bring them to the chest. So you've got the knees close together and you're stretching the lower back here. You can rock from side to side. And now open the knees if that works for you, nice and wide. So this is kind of a modified happy baby. If you've got that flexibility and you like to do happy baby, you can try to reach your feet and bring your feet up, or even your shins. You could hold your shins and just rock side to side, and this creates some deep compression in the hip joint. But you can also get that with just a modified happy baby. Just a mildly content baby. All right. And then we're going to bring the knees together and then bring them over to the left. So we're taking just a gentle twist here. If you need a block under your bottom knee or between your knees to reduce the torque on the lower back, you can do that. And just take a couple of deep breaths into that rib cage, into the lower back. Pull your navel in and then lift your top knee, followed by the other knee, and come on over to the other side, twisting knees to the right. Maybe your gaze is over to the left, and breathing. Twists are a really nice way to stimulate and support your digestive system, which during times of high stress can really start to shut down. So twists are great. And then bring that knee up and followed by the bottom knee. One more squeeze. And then roll both knees to your right or left, doesn't matter, and press yourself up. And we're going to come into cat and cow. So hands and knees. And just moving through a range of motion for your spine, that feels good. Rounding as you exhale. Inhaling, reaching those sits bones up and back behind you as you gaze up. And side bending. And just moving the spine in whatever ways feel comfortable for you today. Always knowing you can come to fingertips or knuckles if your wrists are sensitive. So we're going to just stimulate the adrenals this morning and strengthen and stretch the abdominals and strengthen the back. So I want you to come on down to your belly, but keep your belly engaged. So we don't want any sagging in the lower back as you come down. And we're going to bring the legs together and squeeze them so that your kneecaps feel like they're lifting off of the floor. And then bring your hands, your palms next to your rib cage, like the lower half of your rib cage. Forehead on the floor, and suck your belly button up and away from the mat. Remember the idea of there's a piece of chocolate or maybe like a jelly donut, something you really like, and it's under your belly and you're trying to protect it from getting squished. So you're going to lift up on that inner belly button and keep that core engagement and squeeze the legs as you inhale and lift the head and the chest just a little bit off of the floor. So the neck is long, and you should be able to lift your palms off of the floor. So you know you're just using the erector muscles of your spine, and then lower down. And again, we're going to inhale, lift, keeping the neck long, so we're not looking straight ahead or up. We're looking down at the mat. Hands will float off of the mat, so this keeps you also from overextending the lower back. Squeeze those legs and lower down. Good. Rest your hands under your forehead and bend your knees and just windshield wiper the legs from side to side. And then crisscross the legs, so one in front of the other. So this is a really nice brain balancing exercise, and it really helps to also support the hips, the health of the hips. Good. Okay, so coming out of this, you want to pull up on that belly button again like you're saving the chocolate. And come to your forearms. And then press through your forearms and engage your belly and start to lift your hips. And then walk your knees in and come into your child's pose. So it's so important to come out of a pose just as carefully as you go into it, because a lot of times injuries happen when you rush out of a pose. Rest your forehead on the floor. Good, and then now we're going to come up to seated position. You can sit on a block or a pillow, or if you need to be in a chair for the next couple of minutes, you can do that. So find a way that you can sit comfortably with your eyes closed, and just notice the change you've already created in your body with that little bit of attention and movement and mindful breath. We're going to do a couple of eye exercises. Our theme today is Pokeiach Ivrim, which is the blessing for thanking God for opening the eyes of the blind. So that's our theme, and I want to start with opening up the vision, the eyes, the muscles of the eyes. So let's bring the one of your thumbs out in front of you and just start to, without moving your head, just start to lift your thumb up as high as you can and keep your thumb in your line of vision. And then lower the thumb as low as you can. And if your arm gets tired, just switch arms. Just lifting up and down. Good, now go make an X. So go up into the right and then down into the left. Come back to center. Go up and to the left. And down into the right. And center. And now start to bring your thumb really close to your nose. Try to keep it in focus. I know that will be hard for many of us. And then extend the thumb out. Do that a couple of times. This is a really nice way to keep those focusing muscles active. And it's usually when we're on a screen, it's always at the same distance from the face, right? Good, and then just some circles. Just start with a little tiny circle and slowly open up the circle so it's like you're creating a little spiral. Nice and big until your circle is just to the outer edges of your ability to see. Good, back to center and then relax your arm. Let's go ahead and rub the hands together. Rub, 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 make them nice and warm. And then close your eyes and just cup your hands over your eyes without pressing into the eyelids. And breathe and imagine just breathing light into the eyes themselves. Breathing light and healing and exhaling, relaxing the eye muscles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Pokeiach Ivrim. Praise to you, Adonai, who opens the eyes of the blind, who gives us vision. And then lower your hands down, keeping your eyes closed. Let your shoulders relax down your back. We do start with a nigun and welcome you to join any time that you would like to. Lai 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 This reading comes from the book Sacred Intentions. It's morning inspiration to strengthen the spirit based on Jewish wisdom. The need for vision. When there is no vision, the people perish. This is from Proverbs. Moses had a vision. Gandhi had a vision. Martin Luther King Jr. had a vision. The power of their visions changed history. Moses liberated and enslaved people. Gandhi led a nonviolent revolution. And King dreamt of a land free of racial bigotry. These leaders would never have succeeded in rallying hundreds of thousands of people, even millions of people, to effect change without having a powerful vision. A leader without a vision will quickly disappear. Each of us needs a vision for our own lives to inspire and motivate us. Our families need a vision to maintain a sense of belonging, and our communities need a vision to create a sense of cohesion. It takes work to develop a vision. Through study, discussion, meditating, and prayer, and yoga, I throw that in, we can develop a vision for our lives that will be both clear and compelling. We need to articulate this for ourselves so it becomes alive and integral in every being. Prophets used to be society's visionaries. Today, we each need to be a prophet to fill the world with inspiration and hope. So my invitation to you today is to open your body, to use your body through stretching, through this practice of yoga and breath, to awaken not only your physical senses of sight and touch and smell and sight, all of the senses, but to really deepen your awareness to a place where you can begin to see from an emotional standpoint, to see from a spiritual perspective. And from this place, when we start to use yoga as a way to let go of the things that get in the way of our clear seeing, we can start to pave the path to our own inner vision, our own vision of how we were meant to serve in the world, how we're meant to change the world in whatever way that is. It could be very small, it could be very big visually, but everybody's life makes a difference. All of our visions make a difference. So today we're going to move through a moon salutation, and some of the poses might be new, the way we put them together, so please modify and do whatever you need to do to take good care of yourself, and we'll go slow. And first we're going to massage our feet. So let's get that massage ball if you have it. And if you don't have a ball to use, you can sit on a chair or sit on the floor if that works for you, and just work on your feet with your fingers and thumbs. Otherwise, we'll start massaging the feet. Let's start with the right foot and just start to iron out the foot. Look for any sore spots. This will help for balance for our forward, our triangle pose, and for our pyramid pose, our intense forward fold. Just to open up these muscles. And even just to give us a greater sense of grounding and connection to the earth beneath us. If you find any sore spots, breathe into them, breathe through them, be gentle. Pay extra attention to that inner arch. So the inner arch from the big toe all the way down to where the heel begins. That corresponds to the spine in Chinese medicine. So we're getting into all the reflex points of the spine, and then corresponding body parts that are innervated by that area of the spine. Good, and then just change sides. Making a few gentle passes over the foot. and noticing any places that are holding extra tension. Again, giving some focus to the inner arch of the foot, the very inner medial side of the foot. Okay, and then take the ball off the mat, just place it off to the side, and stretch the toes by just prancing in place. Stretch those ankles. Do some circles with the ankles, with the toes on the floor. Obviously, this movement travels into the knee and into the hip. And other side. Good. And then stand in mountain pose. So again, I have my mat lengthwise, and I'm going to do my best to actually mirror you. So wish me luck. So I'm going to say the opposite of what I'm doing so that when you look at the screen, you're going to be mirroring me. So that's my intention, my kavanah for today. So we're standing in mountain. So feet are hip width apart. My chair, if you're using a chair, my chair is off to my left. And just feeling your weight under the ball of the big toe, the ball of the little toe, and then imagine just the center of your heel. So those 3 points. Feeling the weight equally distributed. Mountain pose, shrug the shoulders up, back, and down. Mountain, Tadasana. Also called samastitihi, which means upright and steady. So feeling the uprightness of your spine and the steadiness of your posture, just like a mountain. Feeling the quality of mountain, upright and steady. And this idea that our vision is better when we are still, when we can sit still and know the presence, know our own presence, and know the divine presence. We can see more clearly than if we're moving all over the place, like on a moving boat, for example. So feeling the strength of your stance and the strength of your vision. Go ahead and inhale your arms up. And then exhale, dive forward. Just take out a gentle forward fold here. If you want to turn to your chair to do that because you want to use your chair or blocks for support, you can do that. You can bend your knees a little bit and let the weight of your head go. Take a big breath here, filling up the back of your lungs, the back of the rib cage. And then come halfway up with a flat back. Drawing your shoulders down your back, engaging your belly, looking down. And then on an exhale, fold. Good. Start to look up and reach out to the sides and lift yourself up, inhaling, and hands to your heart. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, breathe it in. Lots of fresh life force. Exhale, blow it out. Release it all. Release your head. Take a breath here. Let it out. Feel traction in your spine. And then start to look up, reach out, lift yourself up, and hands to your heart. Let's bring the legs together for half moon pose. You're going to really firm up the legs, feel your feet on the floor, reach your arms up overhead. You can interlace your fingers and release your index fingers. Pull your belly in and mirror me by leaning over to your left side. Breathe in, come up. Breathe out, lean over to the other side. And come up, breathe in. Again, leaning over, pull the navel in. Keep breathing as you come up. And over one last time, really stretching the ribs. Breathing as you float up. And release your hands down the midline of your body. Good. We're going to come into goddess pose. So open your legs nice and wide and bend the knees to a place that feels good for you. Arms here. And breathe. Feel your feet grounded in the earth, steady and upright. And then bring your hands gently over your eyes. Thank you for vision. Open the arms wide. Again, hands over the eyes as you close them. Thank you for vision. Straighten your legs. Your toes are pointed out a little bit, maybe toward 10 and 2 on a face of a clock. And reach your arms out so you're in this star pose. Stretch your palms and fingers. Open up the heart and the chest, maybe gazing up just a little bit here. Feel the freedom of this pose, the openness, and feel the space that you take up right now. This is the space you inhabit. What are the ways that you sanctify the earth you stand on? And bring your hands to your heart. From here, we'll go into extended triangle. So you can have a block with you if you need it, or the chair. I'm going to aim my left toes toward my chair. And my front foot is the ankles lined up with my back arch. And we're going to open up those arms, pull the navel in, and start to slide as we reach over those left toes as far as you can. And then come back. So stacking the shoulders over the hips. And one more time, reach, active core, and then bring your left hand somewhere, either on your shin or the chair for support as that right arm reaches up. So I want you to tuck your buns underneath you and imagine you're between two panes of glass. So your chest is rolling open toward the sky and your legs are really firm. So I want you to squeeze your quads. And breathe here. This pose of connecting earth and heaven. You're the conduit here. Good. As you exhale, float yourself back up. You're using lots of abdominals here. Good. And now we're going to take our intense forward fold. So you're going to face your front foot and step your back leg up a little bit. Enough so that you can square your hips. So those hips are square to the top of your mat or to your chair. Hands are on the hips here. And then start to come down. Chest comes down, belly button starts to come toward the front knee. And you'll feel a nice deep hamstring stretch here. This is why we did some strap warm-ups. So you've got a chair possibly or some kind of support that you can come into without hanging out, right? We don't want to hang out all of our weight on it. We just want it there as support. And you're looking down, so you're looking toward your leg or toward your belly button. This is Parshvattanasana. This is intense forward fold. Feel free to come down as low as you'd like to, as long as your hamstring can handle it. Shift your your left hip back and your right hip forward just a little bit. Let's take one more breath here. And then as you pull the navel in, you can start to come up. So we're going to bend the left knee deeply and come to a lunge. So start to move your back leg back even more. So we're in a lunge. You can stay with the back leg lifted or come to your knee. That's what I intend to do. But if you are looking for more intensity today, then you can stay up on that back leg. So we're in a nice low lunge here, just stretching those hips, keeping the belly engaged. looking inward, so taking the vision and bringing it inside of yourself, finding the wisdom of your body. If you're on your knee, you might flatten your back foot and start to shift your hips back and lift your front toes just to get into the hamstring even more, or you can just stay right in the lunge. Take some breaths here. From your low lunge, we're actually going to come into a side lunge. So to protect the knees, I would recommend coming up onto the back foot and then just pivoting yourself around to face front, and then turning your left foot to face forward and then bending the knee. So you don't tweak your knee trying to pivot from that low position. And then my right toes are pointed up to the sky. So some of you may be built in such a way that your left foot can just be flat on the floor. And some of you might have to be up on your toes. So that's totally fine. So just working on opening up the inner thigh of the extended leg. Again, if this is uncomfortable for you or doesn't work for something that's going on with your body, please modify. You could even come up here and just do a nice little bend of the knee and stretch the inner thigh. So this is our low side lunge. Okay, from here, go ahead and bend your right leg and bring it in and come into a squat. So you could sit on a block if you need to, or you can just use this as an opportunity for a toe stretching balance pose. And if you're able to use your elbows to press your knees open and bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, you could do that, or you can keep your hands on the floor. So this is a powerful pose, garland pose. We could just hang out here, or we can activate the pelvic floor muscles. So I recommend that you do the second one. So pull up on all of the pelvic muscles, like you're doing a Kegel, or pulling up on all the sphincters of the lower body, and you're going to pull, 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 and then release, and pull up, pull up, pull up, pull the belly in, and release, and one more, and release. Good. So now we're going to reverse our moon salutation, and we're going to reverse the order of the poses. So we'll come into our side lunge on the other side. So go ahead and stretch yourself out. So now your left leg is reaching out and toes are pointed up. Right foot, look down at your toes. Make sure the right foot has the toes pointed forward for your low side lunge. Keep breathing. From your low side lunge, you can come up, and then when you feel like you can safely shift your feet around, you're going to come into your low lunge on your knee. So your toes, your front toes are facing forward, and maybe your back toes are flat on the floor, or maybe even curled. So coming into your low lunge. And if you're on your knee, you can play with extending the toes up, kind of dancing in between. It's a deep hip flexor stretch here too, so into the psoas, which is great. Pausing in your low lunge, gazing down or toward your belly button. Come back into yourself, into a deep awareness of your body. Of your breath. So we'll come into our intense forward fold now. So you can find your way up If you were using a chair, you can take a moment to move your chair over to the other side of your mat. And make sure if you're using blocks, you have them handy. So now I have my right foot forward, my left foot back, hips are square, and I'm going to engage my belly here. So engage your core and start to shift, or hinge, I should say, until you feel a nice hamstring stretch here. You might even feel a calf stretch on the back leg. Just notice what you feel. Clear seeing, it can be very intense. Sometimes when we decide to see clearly, we find things that are not pleasing, that we know need to change in our lives or in the world around us. So not running from, not closing your eyes, but really opening them to take it all in. Not running from the sensations that happen when we see things that are painful, but asking, how can I serve? How can I make this better? Okay, you're going to press into both feet, especially that front foot. Press into it and start to lift yourself out of that really deep, intense pose. And then widen your stance so that you can come into your triangle pose on this side. So both legs are straight. If you tend to lock your knee, you want to just have a little tiny bend. I should have said that on the other side. Just never have the leg completely locked. I'm going to have a little bend if you need it. And then reach those arms up, draw the tips of the shoulder blades together, and as you're ready, start to slide the right fingertips over the right foot, and come on back. And again, slide, 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 pull the belly in, because you're really working your oblique muscles here. And then pivot the arms, finding whatever support you might need. And tucking your buns just underneath you a little bit. So you want to really stack the shoulders over the hips. As you do that, as you press the hips forward, you're going to feel more of a stretch in the abdominals. Connecting heaven and earth here is you as the conduit. I like to bend my front knee just a little bit, and then that helps me to press myself up. You might try that. And then keep your legs wide and turn your toes so they're facing out just a little bit, and arms are reaching out for star pose. Breathe here. Notice the energy of this pose, the emotional frequency of this pose. What are you noticing? And then bend the knees and bend the elbows, coming into goddess pose. Bring one hand to your belly and one hand to your heart. Taking a moment to recognize, to acknowledge that you see with more than your eyes. That you have vision with your body, that you can see and perceive with your body, with your heart, with your gut. So many ways to see, to have vision. And from goddess, we'll step our feet together. Just as we started with our half moon, we're going to squeeze the legs together and reach the arms up. Clasp the hands, release the index fingers, and then lean over to the side and just noticing if there's any change in this second set of half moon poses. Come on up. Lean to the other side. Reach, reach, reach with those fingers. Press out with the hip. Pull the belly in. Come on up. One more set. Keep the breath flowing. Come up and over and up. Good. So release your hands, step your feet just hip width apart. Roll your shoulders back and down, back to mountain pose. Samastitihi, upright and steady. Eyes could be closed or open. Take a moment to envision your life 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And imagine, envision the impact that you can have on the world around you, that you want to have. Envision the future. Maybe you see it visually, maybe you just sense a feeling that you want to have or that you want to convey to others or support in others. Let your vision come in whatever form works for you. What do you see in your future, in your children's future, in your grandchildren's future? And how will you be a part of that? We're going to come down to the floor. And we will use our blocks for bridge pose. So bring your block between your thighs, just as a little anchor. Your feet on the floor, heels close to your bottom. And just moving through a couple of bridges. Hands are by your side. As you squeeze the block, go ahead and lift the hips, lift the spine, and squeeze. Really focusing on the feet and the legs and the knees shooting forward rather than squeezing the glutes really tight. Breathe here and lower down. We'll do another bridge. This time you can come right to where you were or a little higher, or you can slide your arms underneath your back and clasp your hands or get somewhere close to that. Lifting the hips, lifting, maybe rolling those shoulders underneath, maybe clasping the hands, but looking straight up, straight ahead. So avoiding turning the head when you're in an inversion like this. And squeeze the block and breathe. Letting your body be the bridge between the present moment and what you would like to create based on your vision. Your body is the bridge. If your arms are under you, go ahead and bring them out from underneath you and lower your hips down. Good. Move the block and hug your knees into your chest. And just counter stretch here, just releasing, rocking. Good. Take an inversion of your choice, so that might be a supported bridge with the block under your hips this time. That might be enough for you today. Or you can bring your legs up, or take some other inversion like a half shoulder stand or anything where your legs are up over your head so that the flow of circulation can move back toward your heart and your lungs and your organs of your pituitary gland, your thyroid, little glands that are so important for our hormones. Men and women and everybody that has a body. Releasing effort. often our vision can be improved by changing our perspective, right? So getting upside down, getting sideways, looking at something from another angle or perspective can really awaken the vision. If your legs are up, you can start to bend the knees and bring the feet one at a time back to the floor. Pause where you are. And then tuck your tailbone slightly as you bring the block out. And keep your knees bent, but walk your feet away from each other to the outer edges of your mat and let your knees knock in toward each other so that they're touching if possible. And that creates some openness and space in the sacral area. And then we'll release the neck. So lift the right arm overhead and then turn your head to the left. Get a nice stretch in the side of the neck and then bring the arm down and the hand or the head back to center. And change sides, lifting the left arm, looking to the right. And then come back to center. So make sure that one arm is all the way done and complete before you start the second side. And just go through this a few times, linking the breath to the movement. So full inhale as you extend and full exhale, lungs are empty as your arm lands on the floor. Let this be your last one. And then when you're ready, go ahead and extend your legs for Shavasana. If you have your chair handy and you want to use it, it's a really lovely support. You can scoot your bottom up to the chair really close, and you can place your legs on the seat of the chair and get as close as you can. And this is like kind of like an anti-gravity experience. Really takes the pressure off of the back. That's always available anytime that you need a little rejuvenation. Otherwise, lying flat, using pillows if you need to under your legs or under your head, and sliding those shoulders under your back, closing your eyes, and begin to let go of all the efforts of your body for the next few moments. With every exhale, releasing the effort and coming into a space of integration, letting the body integrate the opening that you've created in it, physically and emotionally, spiritually. Baruch atah Adonai, Pokeiach Ivrim, Pokeiach Ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Pokeiach Ivrim, Pokeiach Ivrim. Praise to you, Adonai, who opens the eyes of the blind, for letting us see with clarity a life divine, a life divine. Praise to you, Adonai, who opens the eyes of the blind, for letting us see with clarity a life divine, a life divine. Baruch atah Adonai, Pokeiach Ivrim, Pokeiach Ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Pokeiach Ivrim, Pokeiach Ivrim. Let the breath fill your body. Begin to awaken your senses of touch, feeling the weight of your body on the surface beneath you. Beginning to slowly move the body and gently maybe opening your eyes and letting in the light that surrounds you in whatever space you're in. And taking your time to roll to your side before you press yourself up. And as you press yourself up, letting your arms rest somewhere on your body, and please feel free to join me in our chant for today. Baruch atah Adonai, Pokeiach Ivrim, Pokeiach Ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Pokeiach Ivrim, Pokeiach Ivrim. Praise to you, Adonai, who opens the eyes of the blind, for letting us see with clarity a life divine, a life divine. Praise to you, Adonai, who opens the eyes of the blind, for letting us see with clarity a life divine, a life divine. La 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 May all beings be free. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be loved. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.